Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rahul Benoy, and I'm the event head and your host for today, representing ASMA. ASMA stands for Adoption of Social Media in Academia. It is the leading community in academia, catering to all the segments of education sector, comprising of schools, preschools, higher education, government bodies, and corporate houses. ASMA in itself is a knowledge sharing platform that helps to uncover the latest insights, anticipating future trends, and providing a transformative social media framework. Today's event is a part of the series that we have been doing under the banner of School Leadership Conclave. And this series wouldn't have been possible without our partner, Financepeer. So before moving on to the panel discussion of the day, I'd like to invite Mr. Nitesh Mahajan. He is the business head, East Zone Financepeer, to give a small presentation on how organizations like them are helping schools and institutions. Over to you, Mr. Nitesh.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you so much. Good afternoon to all the speakers and the audience. It's my honor to represent Financepeer with all the fellow panelists. Thank you, Rahul. So yes, we've been working with ASMA for the last few months, and the journey has been really amazing. So I quickly share a couple of things that we've been doing, for the schools and university. And Rahul, what I'll do is I'll just present my screen, right?
Yes, yes, please.
Just 1 second, Rahul. So Rahul, my screen is visible.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So Financepeer is India's safest, quickest, and by far the largest education fee financing company. So what do I mean when I say the largest fee financing company? We go ahead and help the institution for any kind of financial assistance, be it school fee financing, be it and any device which a student needs, or infrastructure development a school or an institution is requiring to develop. What makes Financepeer number one? So I'll just introduce the company. Basically, we started our journey 4 years back, and we quickly got Google incubated. So essentially, you can say we are Google is our parent company. Now, what is the idea behind Financepeer is, see, what we do is we make the upfront payment to the institution on behalf of parents, and we provide easy EMI to the parents. So here, what happens is a school gets the working capital, and parents also, pay us through EMIs, which is totally interest-free EMI. Now, why our founders came up with this idea, I like to give you an example here. See, today, sitting at home, if I have to buy a refrigerator or an AC, what I can do is I can buy it on EMIs as low as 1,500 or 2,000 rupees. So similarly, in the fee sector, we thought, why not we provide easy EMIs so that it can be accessible to everybody. So that is why we came up with this idea, because in the last few years, the level of education is going up, and so does the fee. So this is how we started our journey. Now, when we do this fee financing, I think with the schools and institutions, there is an effect of it. So the first thing is there is an increase in admission which we have seen. Simply because, see, if there are two institutions, institution A is providing monthly EMIs, institution B is taking quarterly fee payment. So obviously institution A is getting more admissions. At the same time, what we are doing, especially after this COVID, what we have seen, there is a job loss in the market. So our company provides free insurance also to the parents, which covers job loss also. And third thing is, schools are getting working capital and funds which they can invest on many of their projects. Now, there are many value-added services which our company provides First of all, we have a 24/7 dedicated service support team, which we assign to the schools. Second thing, we have an efficient team which prepares creatives also for the institution, like brochures, flyers, and other creatives which it may need. Fourth thing, we do free PR also for the institution in the vicinity, and let parents know like the school has taken this initiative. And also we do a lot of advertisement in social media and in newspaper, and that too we don't charge anything from the institution. That we do it from our side. Next thing is we do workshops from Apple and Google professionals in the institutions. See, Google, as I've already explained, we are a Google incubated company. At the same time, we have a tie with Apple also. Now, this is a kind of partnership which we call the affordability Apple devices affordability program, wherein we are providing Apple devices absolutely at zero cost to the students as well as to the faculties of the institution. And next thing is on timely payment, there are some cashbacks and other reward points also. So currently, we are working with more than 7,500 institutions pan India. We are getting to 15 lakh students, and we are working in more than 80 cities. And some of the big institutions which we are working with, as you can see, the JGI Group, Manav Rachna Group, UPES, Orchid International Schools, Podar Schools, Meridian Schools, and so on. So this is it, Rahul. Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to enrich my knowledge with the fellow panelists. Thank you, Rahul. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Nitesh. That was a wonderful presentation, and I truly believe our audience will get richly benefited out of it. Let's move on to the much awaited panel discussion of the day. I'd request the audiences to keep yourself engaged by dropping down your questions in the chat box for our speakers to take up. The topic of today's discussion is how AI models help in predicting future outcomes and progress in school education. Now, I'd like to warmly welcome the eminent speakers we have here today with us, starting with Mr. Amith Bajla. He's the chairman of Taurian World School. Welcome you, sir. Next, we have Mr. Alok Tibrewal, Secretary, OmDayal Group of Institutions. Welcome you, sir. And then we have Dr. Jawahar Surisetti, advisor to the government. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting an invitation. Thank you. And then we have Mr. Surinder Singh Chawla, Managing Director, Career Point World School, Bilaspur. We welcome you, sir. And then we have Mr. Nitesh Mahajan, Business Head, East Zone, India, Financepeer. He'll be joining us in the panel discussion too. And now, finally, the moderator of this August panel, Dr. Shahnaz Ahmed. She's the founder and managing trustee, Springdale High School, Jorhat. Welcome you, ma'am. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. I look forward to the panel discussion. Over to you, Shahnaz. Ma'am, you're on mute.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's been wonderful to be in this group of panels and to meet so many of you all here. Today, we are going to discuss one of the most important and a very relevant topic, which is called AI or artificial intelligence. Now, to tell you very frankly, AI has brought a lot of benefits to medical sciences, clean energy provisions, environmental issues, scientific issues, and many other areas. Now, AI has replaced the human mind, and it is such a technology which is capable of inventing and solving complex, seemingly abstract problems by this process. So today, in this forum, we are going to discuss a lot about how AI has been capable enough to get into the education sector, because the topic today is how AI models help in predicting future outcomes and progress in school education. The school being such a factor that where we are only dealing with the human mind, we are dealing with children, and we are dealing with teachers and the parents. So now AI is a factor which has been there, and many of the issues have been dealt by AI, whether it is coming to admissions, whether it's coming to data handling, whether it's coming to making or formulating contents, fee collections, and everything, even assessment has been dealt by AI. Now, when we come to, like, see today, at the click of a button, we can get our results done, which has happened this year with CBSC. Just the whole data has been given to us, everything has been formulated, assessment, objective assessments have been given, the software has been there, and everything has been put there, and the results would be out very soon. Even when it comes to games, like for example, even chess Alpha Zero, which plays chess at a level superior to chess masters and must be in a style not previously seen in chess history. So artificial intelligence is dealing with all kinds of things. Whether it is in medical science, it is going to be in scientific processes, it's going to be the teaching learning methods. Everywhere artificial intelligence is there. Artificial intelligence is again away from the human intelligence that we have always dealt with. So today, we are going to deal and talk on these very important issues, and I'm very, very proud and I feel very privileged to be in the team of such esteemed panelists who are all educators. And we have Dr. Jawahar Surisetti, who is an advisor to the government. He'll have also many things to talk about artificial intelligence, how it's becoming so important and how it will take over the world within a very short while. But as an educator, I have always thought that definitely AI will make things very acute. Definitely it will execute tasks in multiple fields, but will we lose something? Will we not be able to use our brains, which is the human brain or the intelligence, human intelligence? Will we be mastered by this technology or by this software, which will demonstrate us to do everything? So I have a set of questions, and as educators, we all require to know how we are going to deal with it. My first question to my first question that I would like to give is to Mr. Satyabrata Minaketan. He is the chairman of ODM Education.
Ma'am, he's not there with us actually.
He's not there?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
So now we go to Mr. Alok Tibrewal. So he is the chairman of OmDayal Group of Institutions. So my question to you is, in today's changing education scenario, where technology is expected to play a key role in the teaching learning process, how can technology enable contextual learning in schools? Since school is something that we have to do with contextual learning, the thing has to be conceptualized. So how will AI, being a technology or being a software, deal with this contextual learning, sir?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Ma'am, could I start with a little bit of background?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. In today's changing, just a minute. Sorry. See, AI has not dropped from the skies, and everything in this world is a continuous change. It's a continuous process. Like, for example, internet came around. Internet changed a lot of things, the way we live, the way we do things. But the most important change, I hope I'm audible.
Yes, yes, you are audible, sir.
The most important thing, the most striking thing that we can think of today is in 2001, when Amazon became a big name. So Amazon changed the way it introduced online shopping. Similarly, in 2011, I'm talking of the milestones, Netflix started streaming. So the use of cloud computing. Now cloud computing is used in everything. But that was one of the important events which changed the way we live, the way we think, the way we behave, the way we interact. Similarly, now AI seems to be the in thing. So why? Why has AI become so important? Why AI? Everybody is discussing AI, be it Elon Musk, be it this, be it that. Everybody across the world, everybody feels AI is the most important thing. So I'm just going to give a brief introduction about how I project it. AI is great, is main, and in the field of education, what are the main challenges? Today in the field of education, the main challenge is to assess the academic achievement and to assess the competence. Now, you see, I have summarized, I've just mentioned two words, but you can find volumes on these two words across the internet, across the Google, because you see, academic achievement is very important. Today, we talk of IITs, we talk of MIT, we talk of Carnegie Mellon, we talk of this, we talk of that, we talk of so many universities, we talk of panchayat schools. Across the world, what are we talking about? We are talking of academic achievement. In a school, when people are going, we are just saying what is the input and what is the output. And we need to assess that academic achievement. Why is Harvard Harvard? Because you see, it has managed to have a certain academic achievement all through and through. And the word competence. Now, competence in the day we had blacksmith, the competence was how well you could use the hammer. So competence keeps varying. And today, the outcome of education is primarily measured in either academic achievement or the competence of the people who are coming out, be it skill, be it education, be it computer programming, be it whatever it is. So these are the two important things in which artificial intelligence is primarily used. It has artificial has great potential in compensating learning difficulties and supporting teachers. See, wherever there's a learning difficulty, for example, in a class, there could be some children who are spastic and this and that. I'm coming to the contextual because unless I give the background, I'll not be able to come to the contextual part of it. And in supporting teachers, how does it support teachers? That also I'll come to it. However, artificial intelligence is not only used in education, it is being used by farmers to increase the crop yields because smart machines can tell the difference between good plants and weeds and spray only the weeds with herbicide. Facebook is using the technology to automatically recognize you and your friends in pictures. Boeing is using the technology to revolutionize airplane maintenance. Amazon Alexa can read the news to you. IBM Watson first learned to play Jeopardy, which ma'am was telling in the beginning, but it has now turned its sights on reading medical images. Going forward, cybersecurity, which is a very important thing which we all believe. And the topmost cybersecurity firm in the world is going to be that firm which has the best artificial intelligence. Because you see, what is artificial intelligence? Until unless we understand what is artificial intelligence, we will not understand what it is all about. In 2011, a massive breakthrough began taking shape at Google. It was based around a field of artificial intelligence named deep learning that had a radically different approach to how we teach computer to become smarter. If you have ever been in a car with a curious child who just learned the word truck, you will quickly understand the basic idea behind deep learning. At first, every automobile the child points out will draw an excited squeal of truck. And if they are pointing at a car when they say truck, you may be give them a little bit more information, say, no, that's actually a car. And eventually, the child learns the difference between a car and a truck. It turns out we can use a very similar technique to teach computers how to learn. So a programmer can start by giving a computer the basics about what a truck is. And then the programmer can feed some truck images to the computer. And as the computer sees more and more truck images, the computer gets better and better at learning what a truck is, until eventually the computer can tell the difference between a car and a truck just as well as a human being. For instance, in the world of medicine, IBM is doing a lot of work, and they are trying from the eyes itself, from the eye scans, they're trying to predict which are the patients who are going to have diabetes. Now, coming down to education and how it is going to improve the contextual learning. See, in today's world, especially in this time of Corona, we have seen schools getting disrupted, etc., etc. But technology has really helped students. Because of technology, the whole academic world the year has not been lost. People are studying and people are learning. In today's changing education scenario, where technology is expected to play a key role in teaching learning process, technology enables contextual learning in schools in various different ways. Technology can help in scaling up instruction quality and providing the best lectures to every student in the form of recorded videos, lessons, and classes. Now we know there's so many programs like Byju's, like Coursera, like Khan Academy. There's so many of them. Now people sitting in remote areas, remote villages, they are getting access to these classes. and they are able to learn. The education has not stopped. Even in our schools, a lot of people, for example, I was just talking to Deepesh Siliguri, they are every class lecture which the teachers are taking is getting recorded, because they have a lot of students coming from hills where the internet connectivity is not so good. So every period, even if the students are not able to attend online, it gets recorded and the students are coming back at their own convenient time and seeing the classes. Other than that, a lot of people have come up with recorded classes, which makes where they are not getting full online classes, full online classes in the sense 1:1 classes are not possible. They are at least getting access to the online classes. Now, technology can also enable learning the same concept at different levels of difficulty for different students. For example, students learning sciences need to apply concepts, and one cannot learn science by listening to lectures and reading textbooks. There can be different levels with different explanations, which will help every student. This is also seen, especially in coaching institutions like Akash and all, where you have the same lectures, maybe at different levels. But you will not be eligible to go to the different levels unless when you give the exams, the mock exams, unless you achieve a certain grade, you will not be given access to the higher level lectures, because all the lectures are recorded, but they are not giving access to all the lectures to all the students. Only when you are achieving a certain level of proficiency in the mock exams, you are allowed to access those recordings which are of a higher level. This, I'm giving an example of a coaching institution, but when you go down the level, there are a lot of people in our country. You can have the same lecture. For example, a fantastic idea I just got. Akash has got 2 programs. One, they are saying bilingual, and Akash, and one which they are saying Hindi, and one was they are saying English. That means you can enroll for the same program in Akash, and you know the class is going to be bilingual, you know the class will be conducted in Hindi, and you know the class will be conducted in English. Now, this is only possible when you are having an online, when you're having this kind of classes. Then again, games and videos. Technology can help kindle interest and participation of students to enhance the overall experience of the learner. Technology provides infinite opportunities to do that. Now, for example, we all have played the game Temple Run. But in Temple Run, you have to, when you do one stage, then they give you the next stage, then you give the next stage, then you give the next stage. But today in Khan Academy, when you go and give an exam, as your proficiency will be improving, your difficulty level of the questions will keep on changing, and you'll not even come to know. You'll not even come to know that the proficiency of the questions have changed, but the difficulty level of the questions have changed, sorry. And the difficulty level will increase only as you are more proficient and more proficient and more proficient. For example, my daughters were preparing for SAT, and then somebody told them that, look, Khan Academy is the best. And once they started practicing on Khan Academy, their performance changed completely. But the kind of programming Khan Academy has, it's just not possible for anybody and everybody to have that kind of programming. Technology also increases opportunities for students to practice more and learn more, as students can pick up a device at any time and start another lesson. This I've covered earlier. And it also helps in facilitating differentiated instruction, which also I've covered through an example computer adaptive learning and 1:1 tutoring. The goal of education technology is to complement and assist contextual learning. Last but not the least, ma'am, you had used the word teacher being replaced or something like on those lines. Let me tell you, ma'am, education is all about motivation. Just presenting information is not the role of a teacher. A teacher's role is to actually convince or actually motivate the students that, okay, you can also do it. And that can never, ever be replaced. Thank you. Ma'am, you're muted.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Alok Tibrewal. It has been a very nice presentation. And you have spoken everything right from the beginning, from 2001, and how it has been developing, and how all these different academies have come, and how it has helped out in different modes of teaching. But if I have, as an educator, when I first listened to artificial intelligence in all the seminars and in all the webinars that we have been there, I was taken with a pause. I just paused for some time, because I was really, really, thinking, because it is good that everything that the machine is going to talk about and to teach, but what about the special needs children? How do we deal with those children? That is the most important concern, because every child is unique and every child has a different way of learning. So yes, artificial intelligence will get into everything. It will demonstrate a lot of things. It will give a lot of ideas of how the teachers to use YouTubes to get into the different methods of teaching. But nevertheless, there must be also a touch of the human touch should be there while teaching a child. But as you said, that motivation is the most important thing. Whatever said and done, a machine is there, but motivation of a teacher to be motivated and to teach the child is a very important thing. Thank you very much, Mr. Alok Tibrewal. And I'm really happy that you have placed your question in a very specific way and you have dealt with it very well. So we will just restrict the time to 3 to 4 minutes for each speaker to speak so that we can go ahead with it. My next question is to Mr. Amith Bajla. Mr. Amith Bajla, you are the chairman of the Taurian World Group of Schools. Now, how can AI help students to realize their true potential? There are so many academies and so many things that will come and they will help out. But how can AI, artificial intelligence, make them realize their students' real potential?
Thank you, Madam Shahnaz and ASMA for this lovely gathering of esteemed educators. I'm very happy and proud to be here. So you asked me, how can AI really help students to unleash their own potential?
Right.
So AI, in my opinion, is everywhere in our lives right now. The way we shop, the way we surf, the way we consume content from Netflix, the way we consume music, every part we may not see it, but AI is a part which is in the background and which is curating the content that we consume. I believe that AI is extremely important tool for students as well as educators in our schools. How would AI help us? Now, the basic job of AI or one objective of AI is to personalize. And I believe that, every student is very different. His learning journey is very different. His learning goal is very different. His learning pace is very different.
Right.
AI really helps in the background in curating the right level of courses for him. AI really helps the teachers to free up their time because, like you are a teacher, you are, running a school, and you would agree with me that in a class of 25, 30 students, not every child is at the same level of learning. And many a times, the slow learners, they hesitate to clear their doubts. They hesitate to cope up in the class, and sometimes the class slows down. AI would really help a student, by going to his level and and providing the course adjusted to him. So this is one very, very huge benefit that I see AI would provide to a class and to a student. AI would also, the world is very small now. The world has just shrunk, and AI would be very helpful in accessing global content. Why should a student be restricted to his own maths teacher in a class? The student can, how you search on Google. Google really understands you and understands what is your search pattern and throws at you the content which is relevant to you. Likewise, for a student, he could access content from all over the world. So I feel that personalized education, content or learning at his own pace, global, right? And AI also helps a student in providing, instant feedback, right? AI would understand what has been the learning history of a child and would be able to give instant feedback to a child, which will be very beneficial to him. So I think, there's still so much of possibility left to be, unleashed. And of course, instant assessment that AI can help with. And tutoring, tutoring is a huge need for every child. He needs an extra help outside the class. And it is tutoring on the go. You don't need to, even in your summer holidays or while you're traveling or while you're at home, anytime, any day, any place, you can access great learning content. So I think, AI will, in totality, it will be a great enabler and a tool for transformation in education.
Thank you, Amith, sir.
Thank you.
What I can understand from you is that you think AI is going to become a child-driven education. Will the child understand?
Child-centric education.
Yes, it is not only child-centric, it might also be child-driven, because
Maybe.
you said that it will also tutor the child. It will go to the pace of the child, which Finland is really thinking about, because Finland's education, as I have seen, I have visited and I have seen that it is a child-driven education. So if AI does things where it gets into the level of the child and it really gives detailed historical performances of the child, so I think it will be easier for everybody, for the teacher and even for the parents to understand how the child is progressing in his one day-to-day activities. And you talked about personalized education. Yes, that's very true, that since in a class of 30 children, the teacher cannot concentrate on all the 30 children. So AI will definitely help out to get personalized with each child and to give a detailed assessment of each child. Thank you very much, Mr. Amith, sir. Now, I would like to put a question to Dr. Jawahar Surisetti. He is the advisor to the government. Sir, for the last 6 months or so, we have been carrying on with the NEP, the new education policy, and we have really read a lot. We have thought about it a lot, and we have really thought that how will the new education policy be implemented to the schools and how it will help the students. My question to you, sir, is what role can artificial intelligence play in the new education policy? And how will AI change curriculum under the new education policy? Because the new education policy will now have a different set of curriculums, different subjects they choose according to what they want. And gradings will be there from class 1 to from the prep to the class 3 will be one grade, from 4, 5, 6 will be another, and so on and on. And it will be taught in both the bilingual languages or in the mother tongue till in the prep levels. And there's going to be the literacy and the numeracy efficiency should be very proficient. They must understand everything. So now, sir, how will this AI change the curriculum under their new education policy? And what role can AI play in this new education policy, sir?
So I'll keep it short.
Yes.
The basic premise that we've taken while formulating the national education policy is the 4 student, teacher, parent, and institution, and I'll take each one of them separately. So the student, like the previous speaker has said, it will be differentiated learning. The machine will understand what are the levels of difficulty that the student or understanding that the student can face, and then throws the content as well as questions based on that. So we are trying to fit in something like this, and there are training classes which are going to be conducted by CBSE to this effect.
Right.
But yes. As of now, the technology itself is being put in place. The second is, since we limit our choices to what the teacher says in the classroom or assigns in the classroom, AI will probably throw a lot of possibilities to the student to expand on what the teacher has already told. The third and most important thing is AI will give a sense of exploration to the student. This is in short what we are looking for in the curriculum for the students. In the teachers segment, the checking of routine tasks, the assessments per se, and the tracking of the career growth or the academic growth of the student becomes easier with AI, as well as there is a chance of being more unbiased. I like this student, I don't like this student. Probably AI will be more neutral in terms of that. However much we say, teachers sometimes get biased with some students. So that I think is also we can factor in the individual differences of each student, the strengths and weaknesses into this assessment system. This is what is there for the teachers. From the institution's perspective, the administration will become easier. The parents will keep getting, the data will be thrown to parents that in the last year the student was doing very good in this, in one subject, one topic, this thing. So it looks like his career is going in that direction. So there will be a lot of data inputs. based on the historical perspective of the student performance over years in a school, that will be thrown to parents and the administration, which will help in their career choices, subject choices, and a lot of things. The last but not the least is that the designing of the curriculum, which is being done currently by NCERT and other allied agencies, have also tried to see that language as a barrier for students in Mufassil areas or rural areas, the curriculum becomes more inclusive with AI pitching in and then trying to convert one language into another, the language which I call as the language of thought. The student thinks in a particular language. We think in Hindi and speak in English, right, or something like that. So the last point here is that it's important that all of us understand that AI is not going to replace the emotional content of the curriculum, which 100% is going to be done by. It's a tool which the teachers can use to better the delivery of whatever content they want to do and improve the performance of the student based on whatever inputs it gives. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. You have very rightly used the words and you have very well explained everything, because this year when we were dealing with the CBSE way of correction and taking out the results, this tool or this software was exactly used where we did have, there was no biasness. It could not be biased. The teachers could not be biased with any kind of corrections or thing, because it just showed us in which strata or in which slot the group of students fall, So that's very rightly said. And as you said, that the students' exploring, discovering, the things and becoming more research oriented instead of becoming the rote learning is what AI is going to really help in students. And the feedback that the parents are going to get from the school is going to be very, very correct, because many years back, if I'm not mistaken, there were many companies that had come and they were doing with MindSpark and with assets and things where they had done very detailed assessment of the students and they were finding out in all the competency level where the student stands. So all these are going to really help the parents and the school and the teachers, and also take out the time limit will become shorter. Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving such a good throw light into very, very. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to ask a question to Mr. Surinder Singh Chawla. Mr. Surinder Singh Chawla, he is the managing director of the Taurian group of school. Is it, sir? Are you from that school?
No, I'm from the Career Point World School.
Oh, Career Point World School, sir. Sir, teachers cannot, the same thing which he talked about, the personalized education. Now, I would again go back to that question again. Teachers cannot usually manage personalized teaching in a classroom. Now, as this can AI provide a better one-to-one session for this personalized learning from your point of view? Before this, Mr. Amith Bajla has talked about personalized learning and personalized teaching. So what is your idea about the personalized teaching in a classroom that AI can provide with? Since you are
thank you so much, Shahnaz ma'am. The learned panel has already covered most of what AI has to do with education. And I am sure it is going to be a breakthrough for people who have always been wanting that their children got personalized attention.
Right.
Now, that was something that was never possible for a teacher to be doing with every child. So AI comes to his or her rescue, and we would be able to make some landmark accomplishments when it comes to personalized attention for each and every child. Now, after spending a full day working with students one-on-one, most teachers have to grade tests and prepare lesson plans at home, or in nights and weekends, making them feel overworked. Now, adding more hours to the day isn't an option, and hence artificial intelligence may be the answer. By not only helping teachers with time-consuming tasks like grading, but also personalizing the curriculums to help the students succeed. Now, this is where artificial intelligence has potential for true personalized education and to streamline everything from research to grading to analysis. Now, algorithms are being introduced in classroom, that happening always, to both free up their time for actual teaching and to do new and exciting things also for the students, which has always been, the want to be able to become more creative. So that has always been there. Now, there are a few apps being used to monitor students' progress and their reactions, pace, and the depth of learning. But most of us don't even realize that we are actually using AI. So now visualize a typical, pre-primary to a 12th class classroom, 30+ students sitting at desks being taught the same lesson from the teacher. Now we know that not everyone learns in the same way. That's true. Researchers are
I think he's losing a little bit of network. There's a network issue, I think. We're not being able to hear him. So I think you have a network issue. Rahul?
I'll check with him, ma'am. I'll check with him.
Yeah, just find out. Can you hear him?
No.
Yeah.
I'll check with him. I'll call him.
Okay. So now we can go to the other part, another question that we will be there. So on the whole, what we can make out that AI is going far ahead and is trying to help out and solve out a lot of problems that the teachers are facing, since schools are big and there are a lot of things to do in the school, with lesson planning to curriculum designing, to assessments, to marking, to teaching, to everything. So AI that way would be a great help, is already a great help to all of us, especially to the education fraternity. Now I would again go to a question to Mr. Alok Tibrewal. Sir, since now we are all into these online classes and we are all teaching in a digital mode of teaching, assessments are also we are doing in a digital methods. So can you just put in some light and that what are some of the challenges facing schools with regards to online digital assessments, and how can technology partners help to overcome these challenges?
Great question, ma'am. You see, ma'am, we are running a school in Calcutta. We are actually running 3 schools in an engineering college, and we have faced this problem at a very big level. Now, what are the main challenges? You see, when you have an online exam, you'll find everybody getting 95% plus. So you try to understand why everybody is getting 95% plus. So we came to realize, I'm going in the reverse order. So we came to realize that, look, people are not being very honest. So there were a lot of ways in which dishonesty crept in. But okay, let us go in the traditional. See, the first and foremost problem with online assessment, maybe in urban-based schools where connectivity and devices is not a problem. The biggest problem in our country is the availability of the devices and the internet connectivity, which in a lot of places are not very stable. So that is the biggest issue as far as online assessments is concerned. Then the second issue is, okay, when you do an online assessment on the basis of MCQ, it's fine. MCQ examinations can be taken online very easily. But when it comes to subjective assessment, though we have found ways and means of taking the subjective exams, but yes, that's a difficulty because, you need to give the exam. You need a phone or you need a second device in which you will take the photo, scan it and upload it, and the teachers will get it and the teachers will do the correction. The biggest challenge is the students using dishonest means. So we try to use some proctoring software, some US-based proctoring software. But you see, our country is very unique in the sense that a lot of people use a lot of different kind of devices. Somebody uses a desktop, somebody uses a laptop, somebody uses an Android phone, somebody uses an Apple phone. So no proctoring software in the US has been designed to use such varied kind of softwares. And our teachers have come up with fantastic methods whereby they have made it mandatory that, okay, you got to have 2 devices. One device you cannot put off. And with the second device, you take a photo of all the pages. And we are using some softwares like Kagaz and some government of West Bengal made software, by which the whole scanning is done and uploaded to the teachers, and the teachers are doing the correction. And teachers have found ways and means to do online correction on the PDF files itself, which are fantastic softwares. But that is not the issue. But on the other hand, I would really give credit to Government of West Bengal's University Makaut. Makaut has developed the full online proctoring software. And artificial intelligence has a very big role in this proctoring, because you see all this proctoring software, what happens is the videos feeds come to a certain centers where suppose 10,000 people are giving the exam. So 10,000 people, you cannot have 10,000 people watching. So suppose you are watching with the help of say 250 people or overseeing say 2,000 people. Now they cannot see continuously. So artificial intelligence helps them to, okay, this person has opened a browser. Okay, this person has turned his head so many degrees. Okay, this person is doing this person is doing this. So abroad, they have practically completely eliminated any unfair means in the online examinations which are taking place from home. In India, the challenges are, a lot of challenges are there, but yes, there's a lot of work being done. And in especially Macau, the way they are conducting the exam, and they've developed the whole online proctoring software on their own. And I've seen the control of examination. He even scolds the child if he's not if he's not dressed up properly. You're sitting in a banyan. Look, I'm giving you a warning. You don't dress up properly, I'll stop your screen itself. So a lot of work is being done by a lot of companies in the country. But yes, there's a huge role to be played. But unfortunately, the softwares developed abroad are not really useful in our country. At least I have not found them to be very useful till now, because there's a huge diversity in the way people, kind of devices people use, there's no uniformity. And you cannot tell anybody, okay, you have to buy this laptop, this model, this make. That you cannot do in a country like India.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Yes. Now to solve this problem, that we cannot depend on these foreign softwares and things like that, we have already Mr. Nitesh Mahajan sitting out here. This is why I have kept this question before him. And I thought, since he's there and he's from the Financepeer, so he was talking about the different admission processes, about the assessments, about everything. Now, Mr. Nitesh Mahajan, my question to you is, which area of technology should schools invest in? And how can tech partners such as Financepeer help in this regard? This is why I kept the question after he has said the answer, Mr. Mahajan.
Yes, ma'am. So I'd like to share my point of view. So post-COVID, I would say technology, based educational system is a new concept in India. To be honest, I myself never used Zoom before pandemic, and today all the meetings are taking place through Zoom video calls only. So it is an era of digital transformation with rapid changes, at a great pace. There is a huge scope of tech infrastructure development in India. Institutions, institutions need to identify and prioritize infrastructure transformation or development in correlation to their current setup, like what they are doing currently. So basically, at Financepeer, what we are doing and how we can help in this regard. See, in Financepeer, what we are doing is we are doing not only fee financing. See, we started off with fee financing only, but we realized immediately that we cannot be just a fee financing company. There are many things attached to it. So what we do is, first of all, we do the funding to the institution for technological infrastructure development projects. Second thing, what we do is we are providing Apple devices at zero cost to the students as well as to the faculties. At the same time, these Apple devices are cheaper from Apple Store and from Amazon also. So we have that kind of tie with Apple, which is an affordability program. Third thing is, our fee financing process is totally digital and AI based. Parents can sit at their home. They can choose to pay us through, from their home only. They don't need to go anywhere. Secondly, why parents choose us to pay? Because the first thing is that it is very easy. Our total platform is digital. Second thing, we provide an insurance coverage also. So God forbid if there is any mishap or if there is a job loss also, so the fee will be paid through the insurance. So that's why most of the parents today, they choose to pay through us. And secondly, they can do it very easily from their home. Next thing, what we have done, we have also come up with an Infiniti Platform. See, we are a fintech company. We are providing fee financing through AI-based model, where anybody can do it from their home only. They can pay to the institution, and institution get the entire fee at the beginning of the academic year. At the same time, we are a edtech company also. How? See, we have an Infiniti Platform, where what we have done, like Sir just mentioned, like Khan Academy, Coursera, and all. So we have partnered with most of these institutions, edtech companies, and we are providing so many courses to the student at our platform, which we call Ed Infinity. Now, what we are doing is, what we are providing at our platform is cheaper than the market pricing. That is the first thing. Second thing, we are running the campaigns also every month, where we are giving 3 or 4 courses absolutely free of cost, which can be 3 to 5,000 rupees. And I'll just tell you one thing. We have seen whenever we run these kind of campaigns where we are giving free courses for a certain period of time, we are getting more downloads from the rural areas. So maybe sometime student at rural areas, looking forward to have these kind of benefits, right? Next thing, what we do is in our Infinity platform, we have all kind of courses like dancing, coding, acting, IIT, JEE, all these kind of preparation exams also. So these are all there in Infinity. Now, the next thing what we do is ERP and LMS, solution, which we are providing absolutely at free of cost to all our partner schools. So as all the panelists mentioned the importance of LMS, as you also mentioned, like in hill areas, students do not have access of internet. So through this LMS recorded videos and all, they can sit and they can go through from the lecture at their convenience. So that LMS access and ERP we are providing it absolutely at zero cost to all the partner institutions. ERP also help to help in online examination to the evaluation process also. Everything can be integrated, like human resource management, like attendance, or staff salary and all. So these are the things which we are doing at Financepeer.
Okay. Thank you, yes, understood the whole thing, that you have been dealing with everything. So even right from assessment to the human resource, recruitments and things like that, in the HR things, and also getting into the children and the teachers and everything. Now, my question to Mr. Amith Bajla. Mr. Amith Bajla, since this is a partnership now between the teacher and the computer, now the software and the teacher is going to become a partner now, because since the teacher is going to now rely on the computer or is going to rely on this software. So how do we improve this partnership between the teacher and the computer in the teaching learning process? Now, this is going to be a big partnership, because the teacher is going to depend on the software, on the computer that has been installed. The software has been installed in the computer. The computer is going to give all the feedback. So how do we think that this partnership between the teachers and the computers in this teaching learning process, how do we improve that? Because
thank you, ma'am. You had asked me about tech and teacher.
Tech and teacher, right? Absolutely.
Tech and teacher. So I would keep my talk very restricted. But before I answer that, I would like to say that tech is inevitable. Schools and people and teachers and students who have a mental block or who want to run away from tech would be Jurassic, if I can use the word.
Yes.
You have to move with time. And tech is, and especially we have seen in this times of pandemic, that the world has changed forever. And today, it is forced adoption. I use the term forced adoption. It was a necessity, and we had to adopt technology to keep teaching going on. But as you said, how do we bring tech and teacher closer and together and build a bridge? It is always perceived, that a lot of times that teachers don't like technology, which may be partially right.
Yes.
So I feel that the process of bringing them together, I think it is in 3 steps, which I would call 3 I's. The first is introduce. which I think is the most important step, is how do you introduce technology in your school? Because that lays down the foundation of how the implementation would happen. So I think technology cannot be used as a babysitter, as to just help a teacher, but it should be used more like a tool to transform education. Before the school embarks on this journey, it is not a decision, it is more of a journey. Every school has to be tech agile, because it is evolving so fast every single day, and we have to have our finger on the pulse as to what is new in the market, what is, every month, every few months, there is something new happening. So you cannot be sitting on age-old technology. You have to keep moving, right? So that's why I would call it a process. Now, how do you introduce that in a school? I think, we have experimented something, and what works in my mind is that the school should, it has to be a top-down and a bottom-up approach, a combination of both. Such a culture change or such a vision change cannot be thrusted down. Of course, the energy and the drive and the vision must come from the school leadership, but down in the ladder, there must be ownership of the new adoption. Number one. Number two, I feel that the school should make a vision document, a tech vision document, as to why are you and what sort of technology are you introducing. It is not about an iPad or a computer or a software. Eventually the objective is to make learning more interesting, more enriching, and more satisfying for a child. I believe that 50% of the time of a teacher is probably used in administrative work or assessment work or something which is not really helping a child. And tech would enable, free up that time. I feel that a teacher's job is to bring out creativity, collaboration in students rather than spending time on assessment. So first job is to introduce. And while you introduce, it is in every school you have teachers who are 40 years into the field with very rich experience, brilliant teachers. Now, if you suddenly bombard them and if you try to fix them, with technology, it's not going to work.
Yes.
You have to slowly seep it into it. They have been brilliant teachers, and technology, it can't be drilled down, right? So and you also have to give teachers some playtime with the gadgets. So I see that some schools do not allow, say, personal music to be on their official laptop, which I think is wrong. You should allow the teachers to be intimate with their gadget. They should feel the ownership of the gadget. They should not just look at it as a work tool, but they should look at it as something which helps them work better, right? And the second bucket I would use is improvise. Now, no school is same, no teacher is same, no student is same, and no technology is same either. So while you are implementing technology, it's very, very important to adapt it to your own institution, to adapt it to your own team, to adapt to the new innovations that are coming in, which is a continuous process. And the third bucket, which I feel is extremely important, is to incentivize. You have to create a culture of incentivizing people who are early adopters or who are adopting the technology well and who are moving with the team. It can be embedded in your HR process. It can be part of your of your KRA, and you can have various means where you are incentivizing teachers who are adopting the intended technology. So I feel it's more of a culture thing, it's more of a vision thing, and it is going to be a process rather than an incident or a decision. That's what I feel.
Thank you, sir. Sir, you have so well spoken about this thing. Sir, you have also spoken about the teachers who have been teaching for the last 40 years. They have been excellent teachers, and now they have been made to deal with a gadget which they are not familiar with. They might get a kind of a complex, because I have seen this in most schools. I have seen in my school itself that, this kind of a thing has also put them down. Must be they have thought that they would not be able to cope up with such kind of teaching with the artificial intelligence being there. So it's very nice to make these teachers feel very, achieved, that they have done something and that they have learned something. So
I would like to add just a little small point, which I think is important, is that there are so many choices of gadgets and softwares. And I feel that while it is extremely, it's a very important decision for an institution to choose the gadget and the software, we must be very careful in choosing a simple software, which has a low learning curve,
Yes.
And a gadget which is simpler to operate.
Yes, very simpler to operate, and which they can handle it and they can understand it very well. And I really like your concept of putting this personal music, their music into their personal computers, or listening to it when the classrooms they are doing with all these kind of dealings, because dealing with the computer and dealing with such gadgets might be sometimes become very, very negative also. My question now to you, Dr. Jawahar Suri, sir, since now everybody has been talking about computers, AI, the gadgets, teachers, now it is going to be tech and teachers, student and tech. It's going to be a big affair now, it's going to be. So now how with an AI education environment, the whole environment has become AI now. We are now teaching students from a small gadget, a phone. There's no talk and chalk method. There's no one-to-one method now. We don't even see the child. We don't even know whether we are going to we are talking to a wall or we are talking to somebody else until and unless you get into Zoom. But with connectivity problem, there are lots of issues like this. Now, so all the teachers and the students especially, and are all the time with their own computers, with their phones, and that is the call of the hour now. Now we find everywhere we are traveling, we find nobody has the time to talk to anybody. Everybody is either on the phone, dealing with something, sending messages, or dealing with it. Now, how with this environment can we deal with this technology addiction? It's going to be an addiction now with so much tech-savvy people around. So how do we deal with it, sir?
So digital addiction, as per me, is going to be a bigger disease than cancer in future, if things go this way. Even before the pandemic, parents would come to me as a counseling psychologist, around 300 complaints a day that my child is addicted to his device and he sleeps late in the night. So this was before the pandemic also. Right. So addiction is any which way taking place. Now it has been, there is an answer for the student why you are addicted, because everything is online. So now it has been a formalized excuse for the student that I am addicted because of this. But let's come to the solutions. There are two parts to this. The first part is that although I might sound a little more socialist, but from the government side, it is imperative to sum it up in one sentence that there are digital natives in urban areas, but there are people in rural areas who don't have connectivity, who don't have technology, who don't have digital devices. So there the addiction does not take place. And we have in India at least 67-68% of schools in those areas. So let's not restrict ourselves and technology to these areas. But I'm leaving it at that. The second thing is that to see that de-addiction happens with digital devices, the school's parents will need to come up with solutions, because we've done this. We've done this earlier also, that we understand that online is the only way in which we can teach students these days. But I am saying restrict it. See, bring in families as teachers, bring in parents as teachers. So I am saying, let me give an exercise. I am teaching gravity, or I am teaching laws of motion. So that in the half-an-hour class or 40-minute class, the teacher gives an overview that go to a cricket ground with your family and do this. So that 40-minute class on Newton's law is done. I take my father, or in the drawing room, if it is large enough, I take 2 timers, or my mobile phone is a timer these days. And when the ball is put, one timer goes on, and when the ball lands at a place, the timer goes off. Now, what I have is the distance between the two, where the ball has been bowled and where it has landed. If it is a cricket pitch, it is 22 yards. If it is at home, it's the size of your room. So you know the distance, you know the time because the timer has gone. So find the final velocity. So this is how Newton's law of motion can be played at home without a digital device. It's only that 30 minutes that the teacher has spent on a digital device. After that, the family has taken over. And another 1 hour of engagement they can do. So I think the school's assignments process, real life situations, and the children's application to it is one way. The second is on your Apple devices, you use an app known as Forest, or in your Android devices, you can use an app known as Apprison, APPRISON. This allows you two things. One, Apprison says that you are addicted to Facebook or WhatsApp between 9 to 11. So if you are smoking a cigarette after dinner, let's say, and you are addicted to it, if you are able to get rid of that habit at that point of time, then you will get rid of the habit. Similarly, if I tell you that you are addicted to Facebook between 9 to 11, Apprison allows you to imprison Facebook between 9 to 11. So you won't be able to open it once you put it in prison. So your good habits are rewarded later by you getting a 5-minute parole, etc., etc. But use these apps judiciously, both parent schools, Apprison and Forest, iOS के लिए Forest and Android Apprison. Use technology judiciously to monitor technology.
Thank you, sir. So you have said very well the thing that in this in rural areas, we have less tech-savvy people than in the urban areas. So there is a great ray of positivity there. So we might not become also, since 80% of our people live in this rural area, so we need not feel so scared about what is going to happen to the addiction part also. So that's a very positive light. So Surinder Singh, sir, you have been cut off for a short while. I think there was some network issue. Now, sir, considering everything, all the things that we have discussed, everything, me being a teacher and a teacher of the 20th century, we are the old-time teachers, school of that thought, where we thought it is going to be the student, hold them, touch them, cuddle them, love them, and then teach them. Today, we don't have to do anything. But now it's the AI, the age of the AI, the 21st century. And we are going to deal with only the button, teach, finish. Assessments done, marking done. The teacher has a lot of time now. So my question to you, since you're talking about personalized teaching and you were talking about how one-to-one teaching has to be, the other part of the question that I want to ask you, sir, we always talk about IQ. Intelligent quotient can be very well dealt with by AI. It will deal because we have seen that how it does assessments so well without making any flaws. Of course, it might have little flaws here and there. So but still a teacher and the computer can work it out and get rid of the flaws. Now, sir, how do they deal with the emotional quotient of a child? Because today's child needs to be heard. Today's child needs to be loved. Today's child needs to be trusted. This is what I believe in. So how do I deal, or how do we deal with this emotional aspect of the child? Because IQ is also and equally important is also EQ. So this is my question to you, and it would be the question of many, many teachers also who would ask, ma'am, how do we deal, or sir, how do we deal with the emotional side of the child? Because whenever we are talking to we make it a point to talk to all the students once in a week, and the parents feel very nice. The parents do feel very nice that, ma'am, you have been talking, the teachers have been talking, asking about their mental health, because mental health is a big problem now. So this emotional side of the child, how will AI look into this thing?
Well, yes, I am also from the old school. So I understand the emotional part of it. And I strongly believe that without having involved emotions with the child, we would not be able to go very far when it comes to really imparting knowledge per se. It's not about a curriculum being passed into a child's brain, something mugged up over the years and you go and reproduce it. We are here to actually make good human beings out of students, children that we get.
Yes.
So I'm happy that I'm old school, and my friends here are all old school, except for Nitesh, who seems to be a younger chap here. So we are the ones who have gone through and have always been wanting love, affection, attention from our teachers. And that has really helped us, that we have felt that we belong to the school, we belong to the class, and the teacher loves us and is personally involved with us.
Right.
I really see this as a threat when it comes to total reliability onto AI. So we need to really understand that AI, the word itself says that it's artificial. There's nothing real about it. So thank God, we need to understand that we got to use it only to that extent,
Yes.
where we could use it in the purpose of helping us to be able to impart and to make our jobs easy when it comes to class plannings and tests, and leave that to the AI. But I would request and urge every educator, and educators are right from your parents at home to everybody. And thank God they are not going to rely on AI in parenting and bringing up children. So I strongly feel that EQ is still have to be dealt with, and there has to be a human intervention always.
Yes.
So of course we are welcome to use AI to educate children, but EQ, I see a threat. I don't see AI doing or replacing in a major way the EQ part of it. And
thank you, sir.
So that's what my take is on this.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. And it will really give a lot of impetus to many teachers and to many parents who've been listening to it, because emotional quotient, we cannot get out of it. A student needs to be appreciated, because I still remember my school days when which teacher appreciated me and why we have become today what we are. And we are being able to face, even if artificial intelligence has come, but still we are being able to deal with this artificial intelligence because we had a factor called the human intelligence. We are there to help out the students. And
I would just add a small bit here, ma'am, because what are we trying to actually make, as you said, they need to be appreciated. They also need to be reprimanded at times.
Yes.
To teach them a few things.
Yes.
And if we are totally giving in to artificial intelligence and telling children that this is the way to teach them, I don't know what is it that they want to carry to their generations then?
Right.
Is the value of emotions going to be left behind? No, never. We have not been wired. This is something that we have thought and invented for ourselves, and we are bringing it to our relief when it comes to doing a lot of jobs. But we are basically emotional people, and we all work with emotions. Right. So the emotional quotient has got to be there. And let's pass this to the children, that you will always need emotions for your future generations as well.
So that's a very important duty of all the educators and the teachers and every person who is concerned with education, that emotional side of a child has to be very carefully dealt with, and just not leave it up to artificial intelligence or to AI to deal with the child as a wholesome, for a holistic development. It will never be only with the AI. Yes, it will deal with a lot of things. It will help out with a lot of things. It will be less time consuming for the teachers. Lots of the other work would be getting over for the teachers. They can concentrate in a lot of research work and to upgrade themselves or to be updated themselves. So that's going to be there. So my last question to Mr. Nitesh Mahajan. Now we have dealt with everything. We have dealt with the emotional side. We have dealt with personal learning. We have dealt with the partnerships. We have dealt with how to get rid of addiction and all sorts of issues that we have dealt with. So the school is one part, teaching is one part. There's another part called the administrative task also in a school. And that is a very important factor again in a school. So in a school, we have a lot of other factors dealing. One is education, one is assessment, one is teaching, everything is going on. But there's also the administrative task in a school. For example, there's exam paper grading. There's grading is the HR related issues, fee issues, managing the classroom materials. I'm not talking about the classroom teaching. I'm talking about the classroom materials, etc. A lot of things are nowadays with a school. It's not just that you teach and the teacher goes away. There are a lot of things that a teacher also finish off after the classes are over. So how does this AI help in this administrative task in a school? this is regarding everything. You've been talking about fees, and also can you put some more light into all these things for the teachers also?
Yes. So today, as I mentioned earlier, ma'am, today we see AI is helping in all these areas for sure, and AI is integrated with everything. So as I mentioned earlier, we provide LMS solution as well as ERP solution. Now these ERP solution, what they do is they can be integrated with each and every department, right? From human resource to staff salary to admission to attendance. At the same time, fee financing. So what AI does is very intelligently, AI tells you a lot many things when it comes to these areas, and also it integrates all these areas also, and it also minimizes the time of human efficiency also. Like I'll give you an example. In order to increase admission, AI not only will help you in the system, AI can also predict, your school is in this vicinity, and in your school, most of the children are coming from this vicinity or this particularly, background of the parents. So AI can predict, AI can help you to do advertisement in those areas also. AI can, send through AI and ERP, you can send reminders also to the parents as to, making the fee payment on timely. At the same time, releasing the salary of the staff. So AI is practically doing everything, every bit of it. So as far as administrative work is concerned, I would strongly recommend, yes, if a school has proper ERP and LMS access, they can always help teachers and students to do better, during especially in these COVID times. And AI has already taken a big leap in this area. And as Amith sir also mentioned earlier, that school has to identify the softwares. School has to see these should be very simple ones. They should not be like the critical ones in terms of teaching and integrating with other things also. Because along with the teaching, there is an assessment going on. Along with the examination, there is an evaluation process going on. There is an assessment of mark checking and other things also, which will be a part of all these things. So yes, AI is going to be a big thing when it comes to all these things, and it is already helping a lot, through these softwares.
Thank you, sir. So this has been a very enriching session. We have come to know a lot of things from this session. Must have helped a lot of teachers and the educators who have been listening to it. Each panelist has put their points so correctly. And so critically, it has been discussed that every point has a value. What I can make out after listening to all these things that we talked about, everything, I can find out, or I can think that the world will become very transparent, will become more transparent now with AI doing everything. Everything is at the drop of a hat. We can find out everything, but it will also become increasingly, mysterious. What I can make out, it might also become mysterious because we will have to find out what is the next line that's going to be and what the next line is going to be. So anyway, whatever it is, we need to have a lot of faith in AI. Since it is called artificial intelligence, it is not natural intelligence, it is artificial intelligence, as Mr. Surinder Singh Chawla sir has said, that thank God it is artificial intelligence and not natural intelligence. Our brain is still there. We still have our intelligence intact with us. We can still deal with it. So in collaboration with the artificial intelligence and the human mind and the human brain, which is a natural intelligence which we have been gifted with, we can keep on increasing our intelligence. And together in collaboration, we do collaborative teaching. So we can also now do collaborative process of teaching the child, because the child is the most important factor for us. And so now we have to deal with it in such a specific way, in such a scientific way, that it benefits the child both with artificial intelligence and with the human intelligence. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, the panel, for having me as a moderator. And thank you, Sir Jawahar sir, Surinder Singh Chawla sir, Ahmed Bajla sir, and Mr. Nitesh, Mahajan sir, Alok, Tibrewal sir, and also a big thank you to Mr. Rahul Binoy for giving us this platform to speak on this occasion, because this is something that we all have to deal with. It will carry on. This is the new normal, and we have to carry on with this. Our children have to go with this, and we have to, at the same time, keep that personal touch with the children. That's my personal view. We will have to keep the personal touch with the children along with artificial intelligence. Let us take the best of both the sides. Let us take the best of artificial intelligence. Let us take the best of this human intelligence which God has gifted. Otherwise, we'll become dormant. And a brain needs to keep functioning. A brain needs to keep working. Otherwise, we cannot be the living deads. We need to carry on with our whole impetus, with our whole energy, with our whole brain. Thank you, everybody, for being such a good panel and giving so much of light to this very important topic called artificial intelligence, which is the need of the hour now. So thank you, all of you. Thanks. Thank you, sir. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes, thank you very much, all of y'all, for taking us the time. Yes. And Eid Mubarak to all of y'all. Eid Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak to you as well.
Yes, yes. Eid Mubarak to everybody.
Eid Mubarak to everyone.
Yes.
And ma'am, before ending the session, there are a couple of questions in the Q&A section, if anyone would like to address.
Yes, if there's anything, you can just give it to the panelists. Yes.
The first question here I can see is for predicting model. Are you using machine learning models or R programming? If anyone would like to take that up.
Question is not clear.
Yeah, please. Yes, I cannot see the question actually.
I feel the same. Maybe next move on to the next question. What are the challenges and opportunities for using predictive models in higher education sectors? For predictive models, accurate in assessment of students' grade or budget requirement, in which domain is this more accurate and how? I'm also not sure about this question either.
I think this Mr. Nitesh Mahajan will be able to help out with this question. Budget requirements, student grades, in which domains it is more accurate and how?
Excuse me, I can try. Actually,
yes, sir. Yes.
This question is basically based on certain things that, like I had spoken earlier about academic achievement and competence. Now, when we are talking of these predictive models using artificial intelligence, basically what we are trying to do, there are some experiments in Portugal and there are a lot of papers on the Google, whereby they're using these models to actually find out that whether the students are learning or not, whether the academic achievement is proper or not. And so there's a lot of factors. I don't think this is all very relevant because you see, this is all based on the background of the students, whether the students like what is the background of the parents. And on the basis of that, they are developing certain models in the foreign countries. And then they are saying that, okay, this class of student, the dropout ratio should have been so much. Now, when they actually find out what the dropout ratio is and they see the dropout ratio is more or the dropout ratio is less, so then they start evaluating where they are going wrong. So that's what I can understand. That's what he's talking of. But I really don't feel that in a country like India, where we have so much of social support at home, we really, we can do, I don't know how it can help, but at the government level, if it does, I have no idea about that.
Thank you so much, sir. Alok sir, and the next question we have is, what developments have we witnessed in designing AI-based assessments, keeping in mind outcome-based learning? Anyone? Shahnaz,
yes.
Ma'am, you're on mute.
Yeah.
I think one of the panelists is ready with the answer.
I'll tell. Okay. So what is happening these days is AI has also started evolving itself. It's not that it's static where it is. So earlier it used to be that based on the difficulty level that the student is able to attempt, we are throwing the further question that might be a part of AI. But now what is happening is, if the machines have become so intelligent and we have made them intelligent. It's not without the human that they become intelligent. But what we've done is that just put in all the data that you have, and the machine has been trained to find out from the data what data is relevant, and then put out data which is relevant, one, and outcomes which are relevant. This is one. But when we talk of assessments, in the government, what we are doing is that at a district level, suppose there is a dropout rate is more or attendance is low in a district, the AI is trying to find out reasons. Midday meal is not happening properly, or maybe there is a lot of access issues to the schools, etc., etc. So the localized problems are thrown to the district level. That is one. The assessment issue is very important. When I am throwing all the data there and then asking them to come up with solutions, what is happening is that the student has to use a lot of information that is available with him to be able to decipher a particular problem. Now, an example of the IB DP exam of this year. So what the AI did this year is that they said that Narendra Modi being elected from Varanasi, the data that was given is there are so many women, so many men. Literacy rates are this and that. What should be the policy of Narendra Modi so that he attracts more votes of women in Varanasi? Now here what has happened is, this is one student. This is only for one student who has shown that he has an inclination towards politics. A mathematics question has been put to him in the form of a political statistics question. And similarly, and so on and so on. So if you give all the data for artificial intelligence machines to learn, and they totally give you personalized assessment based on the interest of the child as well. So it is a very important tool.
Yes, very correct, sir. Because when it is going to be outcome-based learning, and when we put these questions to the AI, the questions will come personalized to each and every child, whatever the child is asking for. There is one more question which has been, they have put, is AI render examination will be useless? No, it will never be useless as far as I can understand, because this year, all the term examinations that will be there will be with the MCQs. So how it will never be useless, because that's going to be thorough learning to find out, even when it's going to be open textbook examination, or it's going to be like MCQs. We need to read well, we need to understand the whole chapters very well. Only then we'll be able to get into this AI generated questions. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for the students. It's not going to be that rote learning anymore. It's going to be an outcome-based learning along with the AI processes working, or artificial intelligence working on it. So I'm sure we have answered most of the questions. There were 4 questions on the chat box. I think most of the questions have been answered to the educators or to the viewers who have been observing and watching this. And I'm sure we must have been able to get into whatever queries they had. Thank you, everybody. Thanks a lot for everything. Till we meet again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. That was a phenomenal deliberation. And I'd like to thank all the eminent speakers for all their time and support. And Shahnaz ma'am, you did a wonderful job moderating the whole session. It was such a joy and a pleasure hosting you all. Thank you so much for your time. And now, finally, I'd like to thank our wonderful audience. There's a feedback link in the chat box. Please do fill it up to get the certificate. And also do follow our social media handles to get all the updates on our upcoming events. Thank you so much, everyone. Stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.